laundering proceeds of crime evolves through 3 stages, from the source of the illicit funds to the eventual point where they are integrated into the mainstream financial system. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. Please sit down. If she had asked me to give her my current bio, she would have not missed the fact that my occupation at the moment is babysitting. The chairman of the East African Law Society, Senior Counsel, Chairman Mohamed Nyauga, Bishop Dr. Winde, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm delighted to be here this morning, and I wish to thank the East African Law Society for inviting me to be part of this year's annual conference. The theme of the conference this year is One Region, One People, the role of the law and the legal profession in defining the future of the East African community. This theme, and I'm sure the previous speakers have underscored the fact, underscores the emphasis and emphasizes the centrality of the rule of law to the region, which is critical for growth, development, and prosperity of any nation or community. This is because the rule of law defines parameters of growth and development and provides a framework within which competing factors interact and leads to legitimacy, predictability, and suitability in the process of development and advancement. I've been requested to focus my remarks this morning on the intersection of international law and money laundering, exploring opportunities and empowering young lawyers to counter financial crimes. I must say this is an extremely important and timely topic, as the importance of international trade cannot be gainsaid. Most of us know that one of the major objects of the formation of the East African community is to develop an economic bloc, and this will be facilitated by international trade. International trade not only advances economic growth and prosperity of nations and societies, but also encourages integration. The economic benefits from trade between countries in turn advances transformation of societies and the improvement of lives and livelihoods. One of the major, as I've said, one of the major objectives of the community is economic integration. The growth and advancement in technology has had great benefits to trade and has reduced time, distance, and effort required to carry out trade and economic activities. However, with this growth and advancement comes the risk of illicit activities such as money laundering, illicit financial flows, and other related financial crimes. In a bid to overcome and address these undesirable outcomes, states at regional and global levels have developed frameworks to combat crimes related to international trade. The crimes include, the conventions include the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism, 1999, which provides the basis for combating money laundering internationally. This convention also imposes obligations on member states to engage in mutual legal assistance schemes, including extradition, where that becomes necessary. Other conventions that regulate international financial flows include the UN Convention Against Illicit Traffic and Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances, the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crimes, the UN Convention Against Corruption, and others. To actualize these conventions is the Financial Action Task Force, which is a global intergovernmental organization formed in 1989 by the G7 nations to formulate policies on combating money laundering. The policies of this task force, together with the above conventions, help countries to develop customized laws and regulations to enable them to detect and disrupt illegal cash flows. Generally, therefore, international law prohibits all forms of money laundering. Pursuant to the International Convention for the Suppression of Financing of Terrorism, all the East African Community member states have enacted anti-money laundering legislations with stiff penalties for financial crimes. For instance, the Rwandan Act provides for stiff penalties when you're found or you are convicted of a violation. Despite this elaborate legal framework, international trade remains a complex web of activities fraught with criminal practices. The complexity in the conduct of international trade inadvertently enables money laundering, with different national currencies and the different regulatory frameworks among different countries. The complexity of interconnectedness of the global financial system, which is characterized by a vast number of financial institutions and the numerous intermediaries involved in international transactions, all contribute to enabling international money laundering. The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, UNODC, report estimates the aggregate amount of laundered money to be approximately 2.7% of the global GDP in 2009. That is roughly $1.6 trillion. Taking advantage of this complex web of activities and in some cases weak regulatory frameworks, besides money laundering, individuals and gangs commit numerous crimes such as piracy on international waters, human trafficking and terrorism, to name just but a few. As stated, the focus of my presentation this morning is on money laundering. Money laundering is a sophisticated process of obscuring and making illegally gained proceeds appear legal. Simply stated, money laundering is the process by which criminals cleanse the fruits of their criminal labors. It involves the manipulation of trade transactions to disguise and move illicitly obtained funds across borders or domestically, with the aim of integrating such funds into legitimate financial systems. Ordinarily, the process of laundering proceeds of crime evolves through 3 stages: from the source of the illicit funds to the eventual point where they are integrated into the mainstream financial system. The stages are placement, where criminals inject dirty money into the financial system through deposits. The second one is layering, where launderers transfer or convert dirty money through purchase of physical assets. The Kenyans who are here know it as a fact that we have quite a bit of that happening in the purchase of land and the construction of high-rise apartments, all using or employing cash transactions. The third stage is in money laundering is integration, where claimed funds re-enter the financial system in a seemingly legitimate state through investments, assets, and legal means. Money laundering is itself enabled by several factors, including weak anti-money laundering mechanisms, offshore financial centers, and use of technology. The different regulations and oversight mechanisms among countries enable money laundering to exploit jurisdictions with weak anti-money laundering mechanisms and to move and obscure the illicit origins of their money. For instance, reports indicate that due to enforcement deficits, most of the proceeds of crime in South Sudan get to Kenya and Uganda. Inadequate due diligence mechanisms by financial institutions to verify the legitimacy of trade transactions and the parties involved also allow the illicit funds to enter the legitimate financial system. Further, criminals who include corrupt government officials use as task havens offshore financial centers, which not only have less stringent regulations on transparent requirements, but also offer secrecy and confidentiality to their respective account holders. This is mainly where you find the politicians involved. The third and most pervasive method of money laundering involves the use of technology in international trade. With the increasing dynamism of innovation in the techno space, literally rendering to organized gangs such as smugglers, terrorists, and drug traffickers. It also enables organized gangs to thrive and sometimes use up the powers of legitimately elected governments. Money laundering has also warded away foreign investors, caused unemployment to soar, and in some instances ruined the economic, social, and political fabric of societies to the extent of causing the fall of some governments. To curb and minimize money laundering requires sharp minds, and this is where you come in as young lawyers and have a significant role to play in the regulation of international trade in your own and your country's, as well as the community's interests. By the very nature of your work in helping clients to set up business vehicles, buy and sell assets, and in enabling multiple financial transactions for your clients, you lawyers are better placed to detect illegally obtained cash than banks and other financial institutions can do. In South Africa, Tanzania, and Uganda, lawyers are listed among the reporting agents. Lawyers are required to report suspicious transactions of their clients, failing which they themselves are liable for criminal prosecution with stiff sentences upon conviction. But there are very many opportunities for lawyers to also work in this space. As we all know, international trade is inevitable for all countries. For its sustainability, international trade must be conducted within the international trade law framework. This requirement demands for strict administration of financial regulations and enforcement of anti-money laundering provisions. All these are mainly legal functions, creating wonderful opportunities for lawyers. Some of the identified opportunities for lawyers in fighting money laundering include advisory and consultant services, management of cross-border transactions, the use of technologies, especially cryptocurrencies, investigations and due diligence, risk assessments, compliance sanctions, training and education, and litigation and enforcement. With regard to our advisory, the anti-money laundering regulations in international trade are complex, multifaceted, and tend to vary significantly across jurisdictions. They are not easily deciphered by industry players who are not lawyers. Thus, lawyers have an opportunity to offer advisory and consultant services to their clients involved in international trade. In this regard, lawyers help their clients to understand the obligations specific to their industry and to structure their compliance programs and manage their reporting obligations. All these assist their clients to operate within the set legal frameworks to avoid penalties, some of which can even drive those organizations out of business. As stated, international trade transactions inherently involve multiple jurisdictions and currencies, making it very challenging to trace and prevent money laundering. The business community require lawyers specializing in anti-money laundering to help them understand and adhere to anti-money laundering guidelines established by the Financial Action Task Force to guide cross-border financial transactions. To assist the business community involved in international trade, lawyers should also proactively identify jurisdiction-specific risks and establish protocols and sustainable legal strategies for monitoring and reporting cross-border transactions to ensure compliance. The emergence of crypto and digital currencies as modes of payment has introduced a new dimension to money laundering in international trade. Given that these are emerging areas of commercial engagement, young lawyers are better equipped to understand and apply their updated knowledge and skills to help clients and the government understand how digital currencies like Bitcoin are utilized in illegal transactions. Bearing in mind that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are decentralized and are not regulated by any country's central bank or financial system, lawyers are best placed to guide the business community on how to conduct anti-money laundering checks in cryptocurrency transactions and remain compliant with the available regulations. Additionally, lawyers can advise clients on evolving laws and regulations related to cryptocurrencies, which are still developing in many jurisdictions. This also calls for proactive approaches to help businesses stay ahead of potential anti-money laundering risks associated with the use of digital currencies. To avoid violations and potential reputational damage, every player in international trade needs. So it's my view that we should all work to ensure that our respective nations and the community as a whole thrive in international trade so that you can attract more business to yourself. Thank you very much.